Saturday mornings were supposed to be my quiet time. A cup of coffee, a newspaper, and maybe a few hours of peace before mowing the lawn. But that peace shattered the moment. I stepped outside and saw balloons tied to my mailbox. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe someone from down the street was having a birthday party. But then I noticed the grill, a massive stainless steel beast set up right in the middle of my driveway. Next to it, tables, folding chairs, and a giant banner that said, "Annual Block Bash." I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and stared again. Yep, my driveway had apparently become the neighborhood's party venue. Then came her voice. "Morning, Mark. Hope you don't mind. We needed extra space this year." It was Karen, the self-appointed social chair of our homeowners association. She stood there with a clipboard and a fake smile, wearing oversized sunglasses like she owned the place. "Karen," I said slowly, "what do you mean by extra space?" "Oh, don't be dramatic," she replied, waving me off. "We're all neighbors here. You've got such a nice open driveway. It's perfect for the buffet tables." Before I could argue, a couple of teenagers rolled in a speaker, the size of a refrigerator, and plugged it into the outlet on my porch. Music blasted. People started arriving with coolers and drinks, laughing as if this was all perfectly normal. I tried to reason with her. "Karen, you can't just—" "Relax," she interrupted, flashing that smug smile. "It's just a few hours. You'll love it once you loosen up." Then she turned to the crowd and shouted, "Everyone! Big thanks to Mark for hosting this year." The crowd cheered. I just stood there stunned. "Hosting? I never agreed to this!" By noon, my entire front yard was covered in people, kids running across my grass, someone setting up a beer pong table on my patio, and a neighbor parking his truck right on my lawn. My blood pressure was rising by the minute. I kept telling myself to stay calm. Maybe it would end soon. Maybe they'd clean up and go. But then, as I walked toward Karen to demand they leave, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. Someone had unplugged my security cameras. That's when I realized this wasn't just a friendly misunderstanding. This was a takeover. By the time the sun started to dip behind the rooftops, my driveway looked like a scene out of a chaotic music video. The bass thumped so hard that my windows rattled. Someone had set up a minibar next to my garage, and half the neighborhood was crowded around it. I pushed through the crowd, searching for Karen. A few people nodded politely, pretending not to notice my clenched jaw. Others just ignored me completely, too busy dancing or shouting over the music. When I finally found her, she was laughing with a group of HOA members, sipping from a red plastic cup. "Karen," I said sharply, "you need to end this now." She looked at me with that same irritating smile. "Mark, it's just a bit of fun." "You're really the only one who seems upset." "I'm upset because this is my property." "Do you even have permission from anyone?" "Oh, lighten up," she scoffed. "It's community spirit. You should be proud we picked your house. You've got the best driveway in the subdivision." Before I could respond, a loud crash made us both spin around. Two drunk guys had knocked over my trash bins, garbage spilling across the street. Then I saw another man trying to hook his extension cord into my garage outlet. "Hey!" I shouted, storming toward him. "Unplug that right now." He raised an eyebrow. "Chill, man." Karen said it was fine. Of course she did. When I turned back toward her, she had conveniently disappeared. Instead, I found my neighbor Mike, one of the decent ones, shaking his head. "Dude, this is out of control." I told them this wasn't right. "Thanks, Mike," I said, rubbing my temples. "I just want them gone before something gets broken." But it was too late for that. As we spoke, one of the kids accidentally kicked a football straight into my front window. The glass shattered like a gunshot. Everything went silent for a moment. Then Karen came running back, acting like I was the problem. "Mark, there's no need to yell. We'll cover it later, okay?" "Cover it later?" I snapped. "Karen, you and everyone else need to leave, right now." That's when the tension snapped. People started shouting back, some defending her, others telling me to relax. Someone turned the music up, even louder to drown me out. It wasn't a party anymore, it was a full-blown invasion. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, a group of strangers I'd never even seen before pulled up in their car, parked halfway on my lawn and joined in. That's when I made my decision. It was time to call the cops. By the time I finally dialed 911, my patience had completely snapped. I had given them chance after chance to stop, but they just kept doubling down. My driveway was trashed, my lawn was ruined, and my front window looked like a war zone. 911, what's your emergency? The operator asked calmly. Yes, I said through gritted teeth. There's a large, unauthorized gathering on my private property. They refused to leave. She asked for my address, then said, "Officers are on the way, sir. Please stay safe and avoid confrontation." Avoid confrontation? I almost laughed. That ship had sailed hours ago. When the first police car rolled up, lights flashing red and blue against the houses, a few partygoers actually cheered, thinking it was part of the fun. But when the officers stepped out, hands on their belts, serious expressions, people started realizing this wasn't entertainment. Karen rushed up to them immediately, flipping her hair like she was about to charm her way out of a parking ticket. "Oh, officers," she said sweetly. "There must be some misunderstanding. We're just having our annual block party." One officer, a tall guy named Reynolds, looked from her to me. "Sir, are you the homeowner?" "Yes," I said firmly. "And this," I gestured at the chaos, "is all happening without my permission." Karen's smile faltered. "Oh, come on, Mark, don't be petty." Officer Reynolds raised a hand. "Ma'am, he's the property owner. Did he give you permission to use this space?" "Well, not exactly, but it's a community event," she stammered. Reynolds sighed. "Ma'am, you can't hold a public event on private property without consent. Everyone here needs to clear out now." That's when the crowd started murmuring. Some grabbed their drinks and headed out quietly. Others grumbled, clearly unhappy that the party was over. But a few, mostly Karen's friends, started arguing. "This is ridiculous," one shouted. "He's just being a control freak." Another yelled, "We pay HOA fees. We can use the neighborhood." Reynolds didn't flinch. "You can use the common areas, not someone's driveway. Move it." Karen tried one last desperate angle. "Officer, can't we just wrap up in half an hour?" "No, ma'am," he said flatly. "Shut it down." That was the moment I finally saw fear cross her face. She looked around at the mess, at the flashing lights reflecting off empty bottles and crushed cups, and realized she'd gone too far. One of the younger officers handed her a citation form. "You'll need to talk to the HOA board about this," he said. "But tonight it's over." As the cars pulled away and the last few guests stumbled off, I stood alone in the wreckage of my own property, tired, furious, and strangely relieved. But the story wasn't over yet. Karen wasn't done with me. The next morning, I woke up to a mess that looked straight out of a disaster movie. Empty bottles, paper plates, and crushed cups littered my driveway. My lawn was ruined. The flower bed had tire marks through it, and the smell of burnt barbecue hung heavy in the air. I spent 2 hours cleaning before I even checked my phone. That's when I saw it, an email from the Homeowners Association. Subject: Formal complaint against Mark Thompson for disrupting community event. My jaw dropped. Disrupting? I opened it, and there it was. Karen had filed a report claiming I'd verbally harassed HOA members and created unnecessary tension during an approved neighborhood event. I almost laughed out loud. Approved? By who? Herself? I marched over to her house, still furious. She was already outside, trimming her bushes like nothing had happened. "Karen," I said, trying to stay calm, "you filed a complaint against me?" She smirked without even looking up. "Actions have consequences. Mark, the HOA board doesn't take kindly to hostility." "You trespassed on my property," I snapped. "You're lucky I didn't press charges." She finally turned, crossing her arms. "Oh, please. Everyone enjoyed it except you. Maybe next time, try being part of the community." That's when I knew reasoning was pointless. But I also knew something she didn't. Officer Reynolds had given me a copy of his report before leaving. It clearly stated that the event had been unauthorized and that Karen was responsible for organizing it. So I sent a polite but detailed email to the entire HOA board, attached with the police report, time-stamped photos of the damage, and a repair estimate for my broken window. By the next evening, the fallout began. Karen showed up at my door looking pale and flustered. "Mark," she started, voice trembling, "maybe we got off on the wrong foot. The board wants to reconsider my position as community chair." "You mean they're removing you?" I asked, keeping my expression neutral. Her lips tightened. "Temporarily," I shrugged. Actions have consequences. For once, she had no snappy comeback. She just turned and walked away, her head low. A few weeks later, the HOA sent a written apology and reimbursed me for the damages. Karen avoided me entirely after that, though I occasionally caught her giving me side eyes during board meetings. My driveway finally returned to normal. Quiet, peaceful, mine again. But every time I see a flyer about a community event, I can't help but chuckle. Because I know one thing for sure. It won't be happening on my driveway ever again.